Medicine Changed by John Hunter. John Hunter is considered one of the greatest anatomists of all time and the founder of experimental pathology in England. Hunter put the practice of surgery on a scientific foundation and laid the framework for the 20th century development. His saying, "Don't think, try the experiment," has inspired generations of modern surgeons. In 1771, John Hunter married Anne Home, daughter of Robert Boyne Home. They had 4 children, 2 of whom died before the age of 5. One of his infant children is buried in the churchyard in Kirkhinton, Northumberland. Their 4th child, Agnes, married General Sir James Campbell. In February 1760, Hunter passed examinations in navigation and astronomy and qualified for promotions as a lieutenant, but he remained without a commission until 1780. He contributed to medicine in many ways. For instance, in 1799, the government purchased Hunter's collection papers and specimens, which were presented to the Company of Surgeons. He also helped improve understanding of human teeth, bone growth and remodeling, gunshot wounds, vernal diseases, digestion, child development, and blood supplies. In 1748, at the age of 20, John wrote to his older brother, William, to ask whether he might come to join him in London. William was then a famous obstetrician and becoming established as a teacher of anatomy in London. William agreed to the request, and John arrived in time to assist in preparations for the autumn course of his lectures. William ran private courses in dissection and anatomy in the Great Windmill Street, London, attracting a lot of attention. John had an extraordinary talent for such work, and his first preparation, that of a human arm, was excellent. William found his brother's aptitudes promising and arranged that he should attend surgical classes at St. George's and St. Bartholomew's Hospital. He was also accepted at the pupil of William Cheslenden at Chelsea Hospital. In 1751, he enrolled as an apprentice to John Pott at St. Bartholomew's Hospital. In the summer of 1752, 6 months after the death of his mother, John Hunter went home to bring his sister Dorothea to London, where she lived until her marriage to the Reverend James in 1757. In 1753, he was made Master of Anatomy at Surgeons' Hall, with the duty of reading the lectures from 1754 to 1756. John was house surgeon at St. George's Hospital, where he received most of his practical training. The summer of 1754, he was busy studying the routes by which the branches of the olfactory nerve leave the skull, trace the course of the nosoplating nerve and the rambling nerve known as the nasal branch. A specimen he dissected to show these nerves exist in the museum in excellent condition. John worked hard, liked the companionship of men of his own age, and was fond of the theater. There he can be no doubt that he was an example of the medical student skillfully described by Charles Dickens in 1836. And Albert Smith in Punch, 1741. Hunter was commissioned as an army surgeon at 1760 and spent 3 years in France and Portugal. He had some self-experiments as well at this time. He was considered the leading authority on vernal diseases. He believed that gonorrhea and syphilis were caused by a single pathogen. His theory was proved wrong 51 years later by French physician Philip Rickert. Hunter hypothesized that 2 diseases could not exist simultaneously in the same organ. Therefore, syphilis and gonorrhea were believed to be different symptoms of the same sexual illness. What he really did to prove his point is the stuff that legend is made of. According to some historians, Hunter performed his most famous, if not infamous, experiments on vernal diseases on himself. In 1767, he used a lacet to make a puncture on his glands and prepuce. Having dipped the lacet in a lesson from a prostitute, unfortunately for Hunter, the patient from whom he had obtained the specimen had both syphilis and gonorrhea. And this led him and others to believe that they were of one and the same disease, a rather unfortunate combination at the time, and one that is said to have resulted in a delay of his marriage since the cure took 3 years. Hunter devoted all his resources to his museum. It included nearly 14,000 preparations or more than 500 different specimens of plants and animals. As this eruption grew, he was supplied with rare specimens such as kangaroos brought back by Sir Joseph Banks from James Cook's voyage of 1768 to 1771. While most of his contemporaries taught only human anatomy, Hunter's lectures stressed the relationship between structure and function in all kinds of living creatures. Hunter believed that surgeons should understand how the body adapted to the compensated for damage due to injury, diseases, or environmental changes. He encouraged students such as Edward Jenner and Ashley Cooper to carry out experimental research and to apply the knowledge gained to the treatment for patients. By 1780, Hunter enjoyed widespread recognition as the leading teacher of surgery of his time. However, the acclaim did little to mellow his blunt speaking and argumentative nature. His temper was to be his downfall. Hunter died in 1793 after suffering a fit during an argument at St. George Hospital over the acceptance of students for training. Hunter is today remembered as a founder of scientific surgery. He was unique in seeking and providing experimental basis to surgical practice, and his museum is a lasting record of his pioneering work.